Okay, welcome back to Ace Ideas. Last time I answered a series of questions that Mask wrote up, and this week I am going to be giving this questionnaire to my friend Devin.
That's me.
That's him. Um, Devin identifies as bisexual, so gonna get a different perspective than mine. So here we go. Question one: did you always know you were bisexual?
Alright, so I didn't always know I was bisexual, but I definitely always knew I wasn't straight. And I grew up in a very biblical household, so I grew up believing that the only sexual orientation was straight. And when I was young and I first understood the concept of being gay, I definitely knew that I was attracted to guys as well as girls, but I couldn't really put a label on it just because I had never been introduced to that concept. And after going through middle school and dealing with just all sorts of weird shit, I was very quiet because I was very in the closet. And I hit high school and I just kind of hit me that I was bisexual, and I just identified as that ever since. It was something I contemplated for a while, but it wasn't something I really had to think through because it wasn't really a decision. It was just a part of who I was, and it's a part of my sexual orientation, and I just accepted it. So.
All right. What identities did you try on before realizing you were bisexual?
I was in limbo. I never. I wasn't really involved in any relationships anyway. I just kind of wanted things, and I never really got what I wanted, so it wasn't really an issue. I never got to experiment. I just kind of figured it out by myself, doing a little research and just kind of even a little praying and just a little meditation, just figuring out what I wanted and who I was.
All right. How do you think your sexual orientation makes you view the world?
I understand that people in all across the community, people who identify as gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, asexual, everything, they all have their own struggles. I certainly have my own struggles, and it just gives me an open-minded perspective of helping other people cope and always trying to be nice to people because you never know what they're dealing with. It also made me thankful to be where I am. New Jersey was one of the most recent states to legalize same-sex marriage, and I mean, it took long enough, right? But there's still places in other parts of the world, particularly in a lot of non-Western cultures, where the community has absolutely no voice, and people are facing even execution for breaking the gender norms and for not being straight. And I think that's terrible, and my hearts go out to them and my prayers go out to them.
All right. Next question. How do you think your sexual orientation makes the world view you?
It depends on the people. There's a couple of people I haven't come out to, in particular my parents, and I know that they would pretty much lop my junk off if they found out, so it's in my best interest that I don't want them to know about that yet. I do eventually plan on telling them, but as for the people I have come out to, which includes pretty much all of my friends, I know they're not judging me. They're supportive of all the decisions I make, and yeah, as for strangers that know I'm bisexual, I mean, I'm sure they're judging me in some way or another, but all I have to say to them is this: if you have anything negative to say, and I'll keep doing my thing, you're more than welcome to keep doing yours. Just don't talk smack and don't get in my way.
Good advice for life.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, how would we talk about sex and sexual orientation?
When I grew up and learning about that stuff, I was really sheltered. I wasn't taught much about sex growing up. It was almost things that I had to learn for myself, and I learned things that were very wrong because of that. And I wish that people could just be more open about sex, but at the same time, being open about sex doesn't necessarily mean promoting sex. I mean, everybody has a time when they're ready for it, and I mean, some people, some friends of mine, and including some experiences of my own, I rushed into that kind of thing, and I kind of wish I held back.
Yeah, that is an issue. What is the biggest problem with how we discuss sex and sexual orientation now?
think one of the biggest problems is that we kind of just, what's the word I'm looking for? Combine all the different sexual orientations into one community. And although that's true that we all do need to come together to just make the world more open-minded and to help fight our own battles, that doesn't change the fact that everyone is part of the same community. Like me being bisexual, I'm in a completely different page than Scott is here. Someone who is gay is going to be on a different page, and even someone who's straight is on a different page, because if you grew up in a conservative household, then you grew up thinking that being straight is the only sexual orientation, and that's just not true. So even being a straight ally has its own set of issues. And I think combining everyone, saying it's one big community, although it is true that we all do come together and we all have different takes on it, which is a great thing, like right here. At the same time, we are our own separate communities with our own separate problems, and I feel like the bisexual community is often not looked down upon necessarily, but definitely doesn't have as strong as a voice as gay and lesbian community, as does the asexual community.
Yeah, that is true. No, I've talked to a lot of my bisexual friends at school, and I keep there are so many different parallels between the bisexual and the asexual communities. We face a surprising amount of the same issues with with invisibility and
just not being recognized in general,
right,
and having to deal with stuff like that. Also, one thing that really pisses the hell out of me, and it shouldn't piss me off, it's really silly and trivial, but I just hate it when people hide behind calling themselves bisexual when they're really straight up gay, just thinking it's a cover for the few people that may be pissed if they're flat out gay. I don't know why. I don't even know why that pisses me off, because I understand sexual orientation can develop over time, but for whatever reason, I guess I take that as an insult, because I went through a bit of a journey discovering my own sexual orientation. It's you gotta be who you are, not wear a facade. And the same goes for straight people who might think it's cool to be metrosexual or whatever.
Metrosexual just means a heterosexual male who is inclined to break gender norms.
But they might hide behind that cover, and it's just be you.
Yeah.
People aren't judging. Well, people are judging,
but they shouldn't be, because people are dumb. And last question: in your opinion, is the media over-sexualized, under-sexualized, or just right?
Honestly, I do think it's over-sexualized. I think that in the media, there's a pressure for people to have more sex. You just see it on TV. You see it in the way things are advertised. They use sexuality as a means for advertising anything from a car to fruit punch. There'll be a naked lady on the magazine advertisement. And I think it's gotten a little over the top, and I think it's given people just the wrong message. And because of that, I feel that especially for growing up being a guy, there is a pressure to lose your virginity as fast as possible as a rite of passage type deal, or to prove your manhood or whatever. And that's just really stupid, because I understand that different people will have sex or wait for their own reasons, but I think trying to prove your masculinity by having sex for the first time just doesn't make sense to me, and you're rushing into a lot of problems, and you could even put yourself or the girl in danger because of STIs and unplanned pregnancy. Or if it's gay sex, then I guess you don't have to worry about the latter, but still, you should take it at your own pace.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many double standards these days with virginity being valued in some places and being devalued in other places. It's a huge mess, so I totally agree with you on that one.
Word.
And those are all the questions, so thank you for answering them. And you can sort of see we agreed on most things. We had some things that we weren't, but obviously we didn't have the same answers for everything, because we're two different people with two different family backgrounds and two different orientations and just totally different outlooks on life. So this was good. I'm glad we did this, and I'm glad that, and thank you to Mask for coming up with the questions and the idea to ask them to our friends. This was a really good. It was worthwhile. So
Yeah, one thing I want to add on to that too is like one of my biggest things that held me back from figuring out my sexuality was just how active my parents were in the church we attended. Grew up Catholic. Since then, I started going to a new church. I'm involved in a Presbyterian church now, which is a lot more open just to that whole community, and it just made me really reevaluate things. I'm by no means a by the book Christian, but I definitely do consider myself a Christian, and I'm a lot more happy with myself having now being in a new denomination. So to anyone who's going through that kind of struggle, whatever your sexual orientation will be, just pray about it, pray for guidance, and good things will come.
yeah, so that's the thing. I was never.
Yeah.
My family is not Christian, and I was never. I never was religious or really involved in religion at all. So
That's okay.
But we had slightly different issues. But all right, that's that. So we'll see you hopefully in 2 weeks with another video. And
out.
Peace out.